Welcome back to This Week in Auburn Sports. I'm the Plainsman sports editor, Eric Wallace. This man to my right is Plainsman managing editor, Justin Ferguson. We've got some news from across the pond this week. I know the World Cup is the main international competition going on right now, but as you may know, Wimbledon got started last week in England, and Auburn graduate Tim Puetz qualified, won in the first round, and even moved on to the second round today, where he faced number 16 Fabio Fognini of Italy. Fortunately, came up a little bit short, but Tim Puetz, big Auburn player back in his day. He four-year letterer, All-American during his time. So it's just good to see him, on the international stage making a name for himself. And
yeah, Auburn tennis is not known nationally or even regionally for being a strong program, but to have a player, an alumnus, make an impact early on at such a big tournament like Wimbledon. It's big for Auburn, big for that program, something that you can point to that they're recruiting and say, hey, we've produced players that have gone on to play at some of the sport's biggest stages. So it was a very good moment for Auburn, and I wish he could have had a little bit of deeper run, but that's something to build off of. He's
still a young guy. He's really young. He's very inexperienced. So this is just a good moment, get some of the top athletes to see what he's got. In men's basketball, sophomore shooting guard Dion Wade had knee surgery this week. Apparently he picked up an injury during summer workouts and had to go up to Birmingham and meet with Dr. James Andrews. But all reports are that it was a successful surgery, and we should see him back this fall, I'd like to think, because he can shoot. He's a good shooter. I mean, he can stretch the floor for Bruce Pearl. Pearl loves his shooters. And, he's quick, he's got athleticism. I don't think we really saw this last season, just what Dion Wade can bring to the table.
He's a very good shooter, especially in the corner. It was kind of a running thing with us. Every time Dion Wade checked in, we were going to wonder when he was going to hit his three of the game. And it seemed like that was what his contribution was.
He averaged 3 points a game, so
that's but in an offense, it's going to have more production, more movement. A guy like Dion Wade can be great off the bench, and that he's going to be a reliable three-point shooter. And if you watched, the NBA Finals, the NCAA tournament, it's good to have role players like that. With Auburn having all this influx of talent, having a guy who knows Auburn, knows these returning teammates, and it'll be interesting to see how he recovers from this and produces this year.
Absolutely. Bruce loves his shooters, so I'm sure he'll find a role in the offense. Moving on to the baseball diamond, Sonny Galloway has made a hire for an associate head coach and pitching coach, replacing John Foxhall, who left after, I believe it was 6 years on the Plains. Tom Holliday from NC State has been hired as associate head coach, and he'll take over roles as pitching coach as well. He brings a ton of pedigree. He's been to 15 College World Series, several different programs, Texas, Oklahoma State, NC State. I imagine, his time at Oklahoma State was probably where he and Sonny Galloway got to know each other better, since Sonny Galloway was at Oklahoma before coming to Auburn. But, it's a big gift for Sonny Galloway.
His teams, whether he's been a head coach or an assistant head coach, or associate in this case, were known for their pitching.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best pitching coaches on the market. And Auburn got a really good hire there. And I know there was struggles last season on offense and defense. But pitching depth was a big thing. And if Auburn can develop guys like King and Thompson, and further their talents, this is the guy to do it. It's a big hire for Galloway as he's trying to, overcome the events of these last few weeks and months.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And hopefully, with Holiday, they can develop enough pitchers where we won't have to see center fielders coming in the middle of games to try and pitch our way out of jams, as we saw Ryan Tella come in and pitch against several teams this season. So, moving on to equestrian. Equestrian, yes.
Not equestrian.
Equestrian. I don't really know what that
means. With a Q.
Equestrian has made a hire. Catherine Berg from Baylor University has been hired as an assistant head coach. Apparently she was a Western rider, and a very successful one at that, at Baylor University. I don't really know what a Western rider does, but I'm sure she's very good at it.
You did your research, didn't you?
Yeah. Maybe not on equestrian. Okay. Maybe not. But I'm sure she'll bring, Equestrian had a little bit of a down year this year after having so much success in the past years. So hopefully they can get back on the winning track and
an accomplished rider at a university that's got a very good pedigree for that. And, it's all about turning things around. Equestrian, it was a down year for their really high standards.
Very lofty.
I would argue that Equestrian probably has the highest standards of any program at Auburn.
Yeah.
You are always expected to compete for the SEC and the national titles every single year. Not even football can compete with that.
But Baylor was very successful with Bird there. They were very competitive in the Big 12, so it'll be interesting to see what she brings to the equestrian team here at Auburn. Moving to the recruiting trails, Auburn had a couple of huge pickups over rival Alabama and rival LSU this weekend. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, in more ways than one. These were a big pickup. Tyler Carr was offensive guard from Southside Selma. He decided Tuesday morning, he made his announcement that he would commit to Auburn over Alabama. He said it was a really tight decision between them. He had Auburn and Alabama going either way until about a day before he made his announcement. And he's a guard that the scouting report on him is he's great at run blocking, and
you love to run.
if you want somebody to run behind on 3rd and short, 4th and short, you need to get that first down. He's going to be that guy. And Auburn's got some depth at guard, but you're always building. You always want to get a good pool of offensive linemen for the future.
Yep.
And Auburn's done a really good job with JV Grimes, making sure you get some of the nation's best to play the line. That's such an important position. And then offense.
You never have too many linemen.
And then followed it up with Jalen Harris. He was a tight end from St. James in Montgomery. The connection there with Auburn is Philip Blutzenkirchen is his position coach at St. James. And so a tight end, teaching a tight end, and get that influence, and he's gonna be at Auburn. Another big guy, he's 6'5".
Huge.
And when you look at a tight end or an H-back in Malzahn's system, you want to have a guy who can do a little bit of everything: run blocking, pass blocking, going out and receiving. And he's gonna be that guy for the future. And Auburn's got a very, very bright future ahead of him when you look at tight ends and H-backs, and he's just another key.
I think you could see him taking on a role similar to C.J. Uzoma in the office. I mean, he's a very, very similar player there. So, big weekend in recruiting for Auburn. That's it for Auburn sports, but of course in the World Cup we have a monumental game on schedule for tomorrow with the USA
We're
taking
shooting
on
Wednesday,
Germany.
so by the time you're watching this, if it's not Thursday morning,
we'll either be depressed or extremely excited for the knockout stages.
It's a big part. Remember, everyone, I said that the U.S. was going to make it, and he said no.
They still
gotta get a result.
We'll see.
They could get a loss and some help, but the U.S. played extremely well.
They did.
Heartbreaking the way it ended to Portugal, but in a tournament where some of the biggest teams in the world, England, Italy, Spain, they're all out now.
Who you picked to win the title?
Yeah,
just to
Spain,
remind the viewers.
who didn't even do anything. I mean, I also said Mexico would not get a point. It would be tough, and they're going through.
Yeah.
So these South American teams, these North American teams are playing really hard and playing really well at this tournament. And the United States have prepared years and years for this, and it's paying off. They're playing some of their best soccer ever.
Absolutely. I haven't seen them play a game as well as they played against Portugal. They look like the better team for the majority of the game, with the exception of maybe the first 5-10 minutes, and of course, obviously, the last minute.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Portugal does not have the strongest history in soccer, but they have who I think is the best player on the planet in Cristiano Ronaldo, and you still look like the better team.
Absolutely.
Ronaldo sending that beautiful cross at the end that Tim Howard could really. It was in that no man's land where you don't know if you should charge or not. Markin broke down.
Jeff Cameron was asleep.
Scored, but the U.S. Are in a great position. Jurgen Plainsman saying we're going to go and try to win this group, knock out his home country.
Absolutely.
And get that first place spot ahead of Germany. And we'll see. Well, Portugal-Ghana is going to be a pretty big game too. So. It's been the most entertaining World Cup I've ever seen.
If you told me back in December that we would have 4 points going into the Germany game, and as far as goal differential sitting as well as we are, I would have taken it in a heartbeat. Yeah. So can't really complain with the way the United States men's national team has been playing.
And everybody in the World Cup. It's just been a fun, high-scoring World Cup. South Africa was a very low-scoring one, so it's good to see it. It's gotten a lot of people interested in the sport.
Absolutely.
And, for soccer fans like us, that's all you really want to see.
My parents care about it, so that's saying something right there. So
important.
Until next time, this has been This Week in Auburn Sports.